Ready? Okay. Good morning. My name is Bill Hayes. I'm the chairman of the Danvers Municipal Light Board, and I'm calling the meeting to order. To start the meeting, I'm going to turn it over to David Lane for our first meeting in 15 months or so introduction.
Thank you, Bill. We're excited to be here and have the first meeting in person. We did one with the water sewer commissioners, and it was a very productive meeting. It went great.
Good.
So we're excited to be here this morning. A lot of new faces around the room. So I wanted to start with our newest commissioner is Steve Horn. So a longtime Danvers resident who's just joined the board recently. And then to your left, Mr. Mike Landis, who's been on the board for a while, to comprise the board with yourself. At the table, we have two new staff people. We have Jason Small, who is our manager of engineering and operations, so running the show over there for us. Jason comes with a spectacular resume from the grid, working with us, very good with people, hands-on, good management style, and we're excited to move Jason up as part of the team and give Clint another right-hand person to work with. To the left of Jason, this is Angelica Medina, who you guys have met once before in her role as assisting, but Peter Kapusik did leave us. He retired. We weren't sure if it really was going to happen until the last day.
Kept threatening.
He kept threatening, right? Yeah, he threatened us for 8 months. And
So not retired?
actually, you know what? It's funny, when I met with the town manager, I said, I go, he is not fooling around, Steve. It's like, you need to listen to him. He is really meaning it this time, and we need to start planning, or he's going to leave tomorrow. So that's and we worked out a succession plan. We're glad to her getting here and Angelica. So Angelica's hit the ground running and doing a great job for us already. And today we're honored to have one of our board of selectmen, Matt. If you wanted to say anything, but.
Well, good morning, and kudos to you for meeting in person. Public's liking to see all the boards and committees and commissions get back to kind of a little bit more of a normalcy. So, just first time here, and just trying to get the lay of the land.
Excellent.
So,
Glad to have you.
Congratulations.
And our other public representative, back from a hiatus. Welcome back.
You know, we need to be here. That's the key. So thank you very much.
Believe it or not, Mark, you were missed.
I was missed?
Yes.
Well, no, wait. We're getting there.
I got to see him in finance committee.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Apparently the chairman didn't speak for the whole board on that. I owed you one already.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll get even.
I'm not even sure if we're even yet. Take it
Okay.
away, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, David. For the agenda, we'll open the meeting with public comments. Have we received any via email?
Nope.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, that was a staple of our regular Zoom meetings. Mark, do we have any public comments?
Absolutely.
All right.
You sure do. What I like to do is, like Matthew stated, is congratulations for the first open meeting for the Municipal Light Board since 2020. It is about time that you heard from the general public, and I'm considered as general public. The Zoom meetings did not allow public comment, basically, because everybody watched it on TV and nobody really could get comments back to you guys, because by the time it got there, it was too late, too little too late. The one thing that I want to talk about, and you know my subject is always in the costs, and we did go through the town meeting budget proposal that was submitted. And one thing that surprised us all, I believe, the fee that was instituted. And what I was talking to David earlier is that I asked for the information in regards to the consultant contract, what was the intent of that contract, and the results of the contract, and the instituted fees that you imposed on all of our residents. You basically increased the rates for the electric for our residents by $1 million a year. So that is a very sore subject, and as I heard from the Board of Selectmen at the time when the issue was discussed at the Board of Selectmen, they were also concerned. But what I understand is that there was a letter sent that, from the Municipal Light Board, that mind your own business, this is Municipal Light Board meeting, agenda item. So the thing is that the selectmen asked for an explanation and a presentation of why, how, and what will this actually do to improve the municipal light company. I asked 4 months ago, right after the initial discussion about the fees, that I would like to have, and this is going back to Peter's, domain. I wanted to have a copy of the minutes of the meeting of that time, when the decision was made. I wanted to get a copy of the RFP that was issued, for what purpose, and then the results of the consultant's contract, so I could understand, and the general public can understand, why this was initiated and how it was presented to the general public. The general public did not even know that the bill contained $7.50 per residence of a fee that was instituted by this municipal light board. So I just hope that you, as a municipal light board, really represent the Danvers residents, not just the municipal light company. The light company is well-run, and it is well-organized, and the services that we receive are very good. However, we are now instituting fees that should be included in the rate increase, if that's what you want. But you decided not to include them in the rate because you would have to go to the DPU and get approval from them. So that's my comment, and I am very concerned about that, because what I've been hearing is that you're also planning another rate increase, and I hope that's not true. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. David, would you like to respond to that, or?
Actually, we're gonna talk about under PPNFA.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring up the subject of the customer charge after
Okay.
Clint gives his report, so probably more appropriate to discuss it on that line item.
Okay,
And the only other thing is, I did say to, ask Mr. Zubrick if he is, waiting for information, for him just to shoot me an email. And I'm glad to provide him with whatever information he feels he's lacking. And if I can't provide it to him, I'll send him an email back saying why I can't send it. So,
Okay.
glad to do that.
Yeah, I just
Matt,
want
you
to
had
add,
something?
Okay.
just want to expand a little bit on the actual customer service charge that appeared on my February bill. There was really no explanation about it was, and I think that caused a lot of confusion for the citizens or the ratepayers. And so I think if you had explained, as Dave has done since then, about the intent of it, and I think they would have gone a lot further with being not acceptable, but at least being tolerable.
Mhm.
So I think if that was in the future, if you plan a similar increase, that you kind of either in the addition, the addition to the bill, explain it in there about how you came to decide that that was something that was appropriate to add onto the bill. I
okay,
think it would go a lot further with kind of reducing the amount of uproar that we saw.
okay, thank you. All right, so let's definitely plan that when we get to PP and FA, there will be an extensive discussion of the history of the customer charge, how it came about, and this subject.
Excellent, Mr. Chairman.
Okay? All right. I do want to state that we do have some time constraints on this meeting. Mike has to leave somewhere around 9:45. I have to leave at 10. So we'll need to be wrapping up the meeting.
Thank you.
So if we can keep that in mind as we go through the meeting, we'll lose a quorum at 10 o'clock. Okay, first order of business following public comments is to accept the May 4th meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion to accept the minutes as submitted? Hearing none, we will move to a roll call vote. Oh, we don't need to do a roll call vote anymore.
Give me
You're
an
You're
honest.
so well trained,
Give me
Bill.
an honest.
Hey, it's 15 months.
I know.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, the motion passes as made. Next item on the agenda is the April 2021 financials. Angelica, you have the floor.
All right, Mr. Chairman, we're looking at the April 30th profit and loss statement. We're gonna start at the top half of the page, the revenues. All in all, we're up about 9%. There's an increase to our large general service and our domestic sales. Domestic sales have increased, we believe, due to COVID. There's more people home. And then the large general service is our larger facilities. They're consuming about 24% more electricity. Now, if we go down to the grand total revenue, we're up about 5% in revenue. And then our expenses are at the bottom half of the page. Those are bills posted through April 30th. The purchase power and fuel adjustment costs are our largest expenses. The February financials that we presented showed a higher, it was around a 19% increase, but this does level off. Right now we're looking at about a 3% increase in the purchase power and fuel adjustment. So we're gonna go to page 2. And if we look at our total expenses less the purchase power, the expenses are down about 9%. So all in all, we are collecting more money, but our expenses are less. And then if we go to the balance sheet
Which page, Angelica?
on page 4.
Thank you.
We're gonna look at our cash accounts. Our cash accounts are our special fund, which is our emergency fund, our operating cash. This year, we are at about 20 million, last year we were at 15 million. We're working on, so this is what, we've deferred some larger projects due to COVID. So the cash position has increased, but that's just a timing issue. If we go to page 5, we can see the customer accounts receivable 142 and other accounts receivable 143. These are collection accounts. We started to identify and send out notices for past due accounts to get people on payment plans. We are shutting off, so you'll see this continue to improve in the coming financial statements. And then in the middle, we have the depreciation fund, which is another cash account for our capital projects. That has decreased, but that's due to COVID as well, and the capital projects. We have the projects have not gone away, it's just timing, as engineering can tell you. The total cash on hand is about 23 million this year. Last year was 18.7 million, so we're about 23% up in total. So all in all, we are profitable and liquid, and we've been working on collections. If you have any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Can I just add one thing to Angelica's, so, and I didn't know whether to bring up here later on, but so, like Angelica said, we have working hard. Once the regulations opened up and we can do shut-offs, we did start doing that. The ones that are being shut off are long overdue payments, and these are people that are customers that have refused to even get in touch with us about a payment plan. So I've personally been involved with a few that have reached out to me, why am I getting shut off? And it's people that, claim to never have gotten notifications. That's not true. There's been multiple notifications, reach out to these people, and then Suddenly, after they talk to me, and an hour later, they're on a payment plan because Angelica and her staff work with them. And that's what we ask. That's what we need to do is look to improve this, and we'll get the power turned back on.
Good question on that, David. Do we send certified letters to these people?
No, we do not have to send certified letters, we just have to send 3 notices. Our first outreach in April was like a nice, hey, your account's past due, please get on a payment plan. And then when we didn't hear from them, we started sending the official shut-off notices. I believe the first 2 go on the bill, and then they get another letter telling them of their actual shut-off date, and they have until a certain time to make a payment or a payment arrangement.
Could you make a note, let's think about whether that should be certified or
Okay.
something, whether that be retro, that's perhaps something, even though it's not required by law, Steve, or by the regulations, maybe that's something we can consider. We look at the cost of that. Thanks for that idea.
Okay, Steve, did you have any other questions for Angelica?
I didn't think very much of it.
Okay, Mike, any questions for Angelica?
Nope, just good to see that the tradition of being profitable and liquid continues, so.
Okay, as always, I have a few. Back on page 1, under total income, account number 450, we had a couple of discussions on this. During the pandemic, we were allowing unused customer discounts
Yes.
to go on indefinitely. And I just thought we ought to take a quick discussion on the magnitude of that. It's over $700,000.
Yep, so we have started as of, any bill issued June 1st or later will have the customer discount charged back. So you won't see this number increasing as much, in the coming financial statements. So you won't really see this reflected on the profit and loss until the July.
But we have stopped.
But we have
So
stopped.
We are
We have
charging them back now.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so that number won't go down, but it will not increase at the rate it's been increasing because now we are enforcing the timing on the customer.
Correct.
Thank you.
I'm sorry to check, Bill, when's the date that started at?
So any bill issued after June 1st, so cycles 11
Okay.
through 44 or right around the 6th, the bill's issued after the 10th, so you won't see that. So.
Sorry, Bill.
Okay, no, that's okay. All right, another number that jumped out at me, not a huge number, but on page 4, distribution transformers, number 368, is 520%. Do we have a brief explanation of that? Offhand, and I know I'm catching you by surprise here, I apologize.
Wait, so you're on page 4, Bill?
Page 4, account number 368, transformers distribution. It just kind of jumped out.
I thought that might have been, I'll have to get more information. for you,
Okay.
but,
Okay. I was wondering if it might just be related to projects being deferred.
We did have the
That's
114
16.
bank, or
We've done some transfers, I'm trying to think, because this is only until April, so we did definitely a couple since then, but, yeah, anytime we replace the transformer is the main component of the replacement gets charged to that FERC.
Yeah,
So, there might have been, early on, quite a few transformers maybe.
well, what I was thinking was this is a balance sheet account, so I was thinking perhaps transformers had been ordered for projects that were then deferred, so that's why the inventory has gone so far up. Does that make sense?
we need to check, Bill.
Yeah,
Let us get
okay.
back.
We did get some transformer deliveries and, orders in, probably prior to April, I'm just,
Yeah, no, that's fine, I know I caught you unaware.
I don't think they get capitalized though till we install them.
Correct. We
So-
get them on, it hits the cash until they get capitalized.
Right, so typically, like, in an investment-owned utility, they'll capitalize when they receive them, and then it goes out as like a maintenance, but.
Yeah, we can't do that.
But we don't do that here, so,
Okay,
it could have just been workers that got closed out early in the year where we did a decent amount of transformer replacements.
Okay.
Whether they're not necessarily overloaded, but, whether it was asset or new customer, like,
sure,
needed a transformer, so.
okay. Did you have a question, Mark?
Yes, please, if I may. This is going back to your original comment in regard to the unused customer discounts. I heard chargeback. What does that mean to the customer?
So what that means is after June, when you get your electric bill, you have your period of time to
10
get a
days.
discount.
Yep.
At the end of that grace period, then the 10% goes back on your bill.
If you haven't paid the bill.
For that,
in
for
the
June, not
discount
going back,
period.
we're just only we're starting this in June.
So it's
It's
only
not
timing.
retroactive,
So it's timing only.
correct, timing
Okay.
only.
I just didn't wanna see another fee in there.
Nope. Nope, we're going, now we're back to how we used to do discounts before COVID.
Yeah, we're going back to business as usual.
And the question in regard to that is, have the residents during this period of 18 months or 15 months, whatever it's been, have they been notified about that? Or they haven't even heard about it, this was just allowed to happen?
So we did multiple notifications, but they were 15 months ago,
Notifications to
12 months
whom?
ago.
To whom?
We did it through our social media and we did it.
Social media is, that's your Zoom, that's the problem.
Do, you know, can we get one of those airplanes for Mark?
Yes.
Get him
With
the
the-
sky,
with the
and
Danvers
put
up
stuff
back.
up there for him and get
Just-
it, we sent him the bill.
Something tells me Clint could get his pilot license in
Yeah.
a week for me, so. There's nothing else I haven't seen he couldn't do, so.
Sometimes you can bring a horse to water, Mark, you can't make him drink.
Well, the only reason I'm asking is because these are positive things that have happened,
Right.
but nobody was notified about it. I didn't see it on my bill. So the thing is, you have complained, Bill, you have complained about the advertising of either rate decreases, rate increases, and things like that. We don't do that very well. And this is a positive thing, but nobody knew anything about it. So, that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you for your feedback, Mark. Okay, there's no further discussion on the financials.
Move we accept.
Do I hear, thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second?
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. We'll now move to the next item on the agenda, the PP and FA for July, and this will be the expanded discussion to include the customer charge.
All right, thank you, Bill. Good morning. It's nice to see everybody and all at once without having to look at 3 different screens, so I'm pretty excited about this. So yeah, we haven't, I think the last time we got together, we were closed out through February, so we had the numbers in January, February. Since that time, we're able to get, April's closed out, and we're about 80% of the power invoices have come in for May. So we have a pretty good idea of where we're at so far in the year regarding the budget, regarding our forecast for the rest of the year. So we'll just start with the power supply cost factors. Through May, as you can kind of see, the forecast has been pretty accurate so far this year. January and April, costs were down a little bit, but February, March, and May are coming within like 1% of what we had budgeted for. So currently, right now, as of June, we are about 4.3% below budget through May. And moving on to the kilowatt hour sales factors, through May, we've been statistically, we're about 2.5% of what we had forecasted for the year. As you can see, we've January, February, we were low. We actually exceeded forecast for March and a little bit in May. So again, we're about 2.5% below KWH forecast. And as always, the KWH sales obviously have a pretty direct impact on the revenue. So the power supply revenue, as you can see, very similar. January, February, we collected less than we'd anticipated. March and May, we were collected a little bit more. And right now, we're about 2% below what we budgeted, so which is about $195,000. So with that, we'll take back, step back to the beginning of the year when we came into 2021 at about 2.4 million in the PP&FA over and under collection fund. So, throughout the years, we've been tracking very well with the budget and the forecast. We had anticipated, if we set the rates the way we did, we reduced them in January, we're wanting to give, a return, approximately 1.8 million back through the PP&FA charge. So if we look to the page 3, go to the big summary graph there. So we can see we're still tracking, very well to bring that over-under balance back to our, our target, which is about 515,000, which is the 2%, of anticipated power supply expenditures. If we hold the charge fixed, we're estimated to land somewhere around 800,000 in the over-under at the end of the year. So David and I discussed that, and, given that with May, we have a couple outstanding big transmission invoices that haven't come in yet, and the open access transmission tariff has a big swing to it, and I know Peter used to like to joke about that, but you could see it as a positive $500,000 one month and a negative, the next month. And additionally, our transmission costs, so our regional network service costs are actually going up. I included that graph, that's on page, I guess page 4. You can see that our transmission costs are actually going up, June 21, about, 72 cents per kW month.
And
So-
that was budgeted, the transmission costs we talked about when we did the budget, that capacity was slightly going down, power costs were going down slightly, but transmission was going up. That was not unexpected.
Mhm. So the recommendation, I think we're in a good place. The budget forecasts are working very well so far. So my recommendation would be to hold the PPNFA fixed for the remainder, or starting in July, and we'll continue to assess it on a monthly basis. And so that would keep it for residential rates, 5.28 cents per kWh, and all others would be 5.52 cents per kWh.
Okay.
So take any questions at this point?
All right, let's confine the discussion for the moment to the actual PP&FA for this month, and then we will tackle the larger question of the customer charge.
Sure.
Okay? So, does anyone have any questions for Clint? Mike?
The only question I have for Clint, so you wanna hold this until the end of July? The rates until the end of July and not?
Right, so-
Even further?
So let me, so one item on that is, so we traditionally don't have a meeting in July. Right now, so we're a little ahead of schedule, we're not in a position where we could even really consider dropping it, because it's 300, we're up an extra 300,000. But we wanted to get the feeling of the board about the August meeting. So the August meeting, sometimes we've had them, sometimes we haven't. Sometimes we've reserved a slot in case some emergency comes up or something like that. But we just wanted to throw out there today, the board may want to consider voting the PPNFA for July and August today, and then we have an August meeting if we need an emergency meeting. Otherwise, we take a deeper dive into this in September, see what we need to do in September to get through to the end of the year. And that way, that's what, we probably wouldn't, unless something changed dramatically, we wouldn't really want to change anything in August until we get to that final fourth quarter of the year. And then and then going along with how we like to keep it the same for the year too, but that's the only time we really consider a change, would be that for fourth quarter. So, throw that today is like, do you guys want to vote July or vote July and August? And it's truly your pleasure.
If we don't have a meeting in July, then, I prefer to go July and August with the same rate. I think it'd just be easier for everybody, vacations and what have you.
Yeah, I agree. We have traditionally tried to not have the meetings in July and August. Obviously those are the 2 months that, in many respects, sort of call how we're going to be in a particular year, because that's when our greatest use is. So them to have the chance to look at things in September. So I think the same thing.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you a couple difficult questions, but
I'm ready.
He loves
I
this.
have a cup of coffee in the
He
bill.
does.
bring it on.
What do you got?
Okay, I guess the first question is, you mentioned here on page, I guess it's 2,
Yeah, that one's an
in the
Asian.
recommendation, yeah. In the recommendation, we approved through the budget, we turned over 300,000 from the over-under fund, which is at 2.2, but it started at 2.5, so that's like,
So I knew you were gonna bring that up.
yes,
So if you go to the main summary,
yeah,
okay, so without going back to the old days of changing it every month and doing the big swing,
Yes,
so if you look
yes.
at the way we look at the projected costs versus projected revenues,
mhm,
so we actually anticipated over collecting in February, which proved true, so that actually bumped that little the 2.45 up
oh,
about
okay,
$50,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that's where that number comes
Yeah.
from. Okay.
Then we're gonna start giving it.
Yeah, so the big give, like, so May, June, July, if you look, that's
Yeah,
really where.
That's where it starts
that's-
dropping.
Right.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. Okay, by the way, I really wanna thank you for using consistent terminology on the first page, budget versus forecast, because as you know, that confused the hell out of me every month.
So happy
And
to
I am
get that
so
feedback.
grateful you've done that, because it just makes it easier for me to understand, and then I think for purposes of people reading the minutes at some point, for whatever reason, the consistent terminology is really helpful. Okay, I guess my question is, given that we're projecting 300,000 approximately over our goal at the end of the year, should we consider a reduction? If I've heard you correctly, the concern is the volatility we're seeing.
Correct.
And I guess that's really the big reason we elected to go with a stable rate. Plus, customers like to see a stable rate. Obviously, if it's a little more predictable, it's a benefit to the customer. Normally, we would review the rate twice a year is our policy, although the policy allows flexibility to consider it every month if things change dramatically from our forecast and budget. I think it makes sense then to take a real good look in September and see where we are. As you pointed out, it gets us through the highest demand months. So I was a little reluctant to go along with the idea of July and August being voted now, but I guess I'm swinging around to okay with that. Do those questions bring up any questions or comments on anybody's part? Mark, what a surprise.
Well, thank you, I appreciate it. First and foremost is I would suggest that we have a copy of these reports for the general public when they show up. I think it would be advisable to have at least one or two copies, because it's sort of,
The meeting materials you're talking about?
Yes.
Yes.
and,
I think we used to do that when.
yes, we did.
Yes.
And so I guess we forgot. 15 months is a long time, so, you know,
Especially at my age.
well, my age too, so don't worry about it. But the question I have is, PPFA is calculated only on the receipts versus the operating cost, isn't that correct? For the transmission cost and operating cost?
Receipts versus fuel cost plus transmission and capacity,
Right.
not operational costs.
So we just heard a financial report that showed that the revenues were up from last year from 18 million, the reserves, from 18 million to 24 million or whatever it was. I don't remember.
I think it's 23, but whatever.
23 is close enough.
Close enough.
$5 million difference. Has that revenue stream been incorporated in any way into this calculation? Because we're making savings on power costs, we're having savings on operating costs in some extent, but what we see here is leave it stable because that's what we want to get. $300,000 is going to be left in reserve at the end of the year. That's going to be calculated in the future. However, has that reserve been calculated into this number? Because our fuel adjustment cost, I call it, hasn't changed. Because you made a decision in January that, hey, this is what it's gonna be, and it's gonna compensate the residents by $1 million basically for the fee that they have increased on our residential customers. So it's a wash. But now we're seeing that there's revenue coming in higher than anticipated. And are we taking account into the calculation?
So, do you want me to answer, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, either you or Clint who did the
Well,
calculation.
let me, this
Whichever is
goes more
fine.
because we're tying in Angelica's report. Clint will jump right in on me in a heartbeat, but if I get off track. But, Angelica will too, actually. But, so Angelica's report is a snapshot of our financials right now. She is showing where our revenues exist in a snapshot on the day that the report was printed. We do not know what expenses, what payments have been made, where those revenues really are, and where we're gonna end up at the end of the year. As far as cash reserves, we'll have a number on that at the end of the year, not till then. Sideline to that, all the revenues from the power portion of the bill, those are calculated dynamically through Clint's reports. We know just where we are on that, with expenses up and through the date when he did that. So, sitting here today, we know on that we're $300,000 ahead of schedule. That, we can commit to that. That money, if everything goes like it's going right now, that's gonna be given back to the customers. Whether we give it back now, in September, in January, at some point, that's going back to the customers. We can guarantee that if things stay as they are. If Seabrook goes down for 4 days, that 300,000 just disappeared. And that's the volatility of the market that Clint just talked about. We need to prepare for that. So, we'll take a look at all those accounts at the end of the year that Angelica talked about, because that's just a snapshot. And so if things continue to go like this, we're gonna be talking about decreasing this, which means more money back to the customer, either in September or in January. And we're gonna have to talk about that either in August, September. Well, do we wanna give it back for the last quarter of this year, or if it's there, or do we wanna wait till January and give it all back in '22? That'll be a strategic decision for us to do. But, like we all said, it's going back to the customer if we have an overage one way or the other.
Yeah. Angelica or Clint, did you want to add anything to that? No? Okay, Mark, I'd just like to correct one point. The over-undercharge account is gonna go from almost 2.5 million to 800,000, 833, I believe was the number.
Mhm.
So we're talking about returning over $1.5 million this year.
Where is that? I don't see that.
So that's when we do the PPNFA for the
We do
year,
the
we
PPNFA.
calculate it, giving
This
that
is-
back.
You've seen this graph when you've been here and had.
In the past,
This
yes.
started the year at 2.45, almost 2.5. We're projecting it's gonna end at 833. It's over $1.5 million being returned to the customers, okay? You said something about $1 million. I'd like to just correct it. It's $1.5 million going back to the customers this year. And I wanna get that correct,
Fine,
okay?
thank you.
All right.
The one thing that I did not get an answer on is the excess revenue that's being collected in any way involved in the calculation that's being done for the PPFA?
Everything that is collected for fuel charges goes into that. Not the money collected for the operational portion of the rate. That goes into the regular accounts, and we'll get a tabulation on that at the end of the year.
Yeah, and as explained, our cash on hand is up because we've deferred some large projects. So that would not have gone up had the large projects been completed, worked
Thank you.
on and or completed. All right, let's shift the discussion over to the customer chart. Oh,
Oh, we need a vote.
whoop. We need a vote, yes.
Thank you.
I just woke up. Sorry about that. Yeah. Do I hear a motion to accept the PPNFA recommendation as made in Clint's report that we maintain the rate stable? And I guess the question is through July and August and review it again in September.
I moved that exactly, as you said.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion on the floor from anyone?
No.
Hearing none, we move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, now we're going to move to a discussion of the customer charge. Would we like Mark to restate it, or do we all feel comfortable that we understand his comments? And David, would you like to start?
I know, I guess I would like to intro it quickly,
Okay.
because we did have, what I felt was a good discussion at the, Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee about the customer charge, and it was a both sides of the issue were brought out, and so we always like that when both sides are heard from. We do take the point from Mr. Duggan very seriously that perhaps we should have had more of some kind of public discussion debate at the beginning, when we talked about it. So that is definitely, we got that logged in. The foundation of the discussion with both of those boards goes back to the fundamentals of why we established it in the first place, is that we have set fees that every single residential customer costs the business, whether they use any kilowatts, whether they use any. It costs us $32 a month to have all three of your accounts. Each of your accounts, it costs us $32 a month, regardless of if you use any power. So when we did the efficiency model, that whole review, as far as good business sense, that says us as a business should charge our residential customers $32 a month for a customer charge. Doesn't mean we have to do that, that's just the recommendation that came up for good business. When the board debated that, obviously that was a big change to go from just a minimum to a $32 fee would be too dramatic. The board looked at different numbers and came up with a customer charge of the $7.50, which helped the business model, showed us running the business correctly. By running the business correctly means we need to fairly distribute the rates among the small residential customers, the big residential customers, the commercial, both small and large. And so that's what we come up with when we approved the $7.50. It was a good step forward towards a good business model, and that we may need even more in the future when we have more customers on solar, more customers with their own wind power batteries. We may have more customers standing by, using their own power until that day they can. And then suddenly they want our power. And so we're gonna have to work on our business model to be able to absorb that. If Mr. Horn doesn't use any power, he uses his own battery pack for 6 months, and then all of a sudden, he's like, yeah, I need Danvers Electric power today. We need to be standing by, ready to give him that power, which costs us money those 6 months when he didn't take any. So we felt the $7.50 at the time, and the board agreed that was a good compromise. We understand that it did represent an increase to both the small businesses and the residential customers. However, that was 50% mitigated by a drop in the PBNFA. So that was good timing, I thought, on the board's behalf. If we're gonna look at changing our business model and putting in a customer charge, where we could do it at a time when we can drop the PPNFA, that was the time to do it. And so we talked to the board that we committed to the board of selectmen that we would discuss it today. The board is talking about when we should present to them some more information on this. They deferred that to at least the fall, and actually I've heard now January from the board. Does that sound about right, Mr. Duggan, that they were looking to report more on this in January?
Well, I think the conversation was that there would be another, an increase to the existing service charge at some point. I think the point was that it should be communicated beforehand, so there's an understanding that, that it's legitimate, it's not just a money grab.
Sure. Excellent point. Which the bottom line of that, in the fall, if we're looking to either keep the $7.50 or increase the $7.50 in January, in the fall, we need to have some active fall discussions in the fall about that, and involve the board of selectmen in that.
I did just want to let you guys know too, since the March 2021 bill, at the bottom there's a bill print message on the electric bills, and that explains the customer charge and what it's for, and it's been on there since. And then also the study is online, I believe, under the electric rates.
Okay.
Good
Clint,
point.
did you want to add anything?
Nope.
Nope, okay. Do either of the other commissioners wish to add anything?
I mean, I think the only thing that I would say to this is that, we've been involved in these meetings through the remote meeting process. Certainly not by choice. That was the way things had to go. I guess to some extent, this change, it's unfortunate that it occurred while we were involved in remote meetings. That being said, I've been on this board now for, I think, 2.5, 3 years. Matthew's presence is the first time that anyone other than Mark has been here for one of these meetings. Although we certainly, Mark is here as a private citizen taping the event. This event, our meeting is not being taped right now from the public standpoint and being transmitted on cable television, which all of our meetings were when they were remote. So to a certain extent, the public had a greater access to our meetings under the remote system than they have now. We had extensive conversations during that period about this particular change. The study that was provided to us, that we based our decisions on, was one that was discussed at great length, at least 2 to 3 meetings, going back to a time when we were meeting here in public. I don't take offense to things that happen in town government. I've been around it too long to be that concerned about it from that standpoint. That being said, though, the indignation that was shown and the claim to a certain extent that this was done behind a curtain and didn't involve people with it is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in the 35 years that I've been involved in town government with this. I appreciate the fact that it was a change. I appreciate the fact that some people had their bill increase by a few dollars as a result of it, but I have no qualms whatsoever about the process that was utilized to put this into effect, or the fact that we did it. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'd like to also respond to the comments. And to a degree, I certainly want to echo what Mike has said. This was a very deliberative process. I think it was done quite professionally by the management team. They hired a professional outside consulting firm who provided a lot of feedback on what is happening within the industry, how the changes with solar and wind and batteries are changing the finances of the electric power industry. It has been a discussion at this board for at least the last couple of years of the concern with our rates, our costs, our revenues fluctuate rather wildly, and yet our rates are much slower to react to that. And our business model has been that we're recovering our costs through the rates as opposed to fixed charges. And like any business, we have fixed costs and we have variable costs. Fixed costs were basically not being addressed within our business model of generating revenues. And the consultant's report confirmed that and reported that customer charges, which is the name of the charge that was added to the bill in February, is a common industry practice that is becoming more and more common across the country for municipals. Having heard the comments that Mark made, I do think that this board and this management team are very concerned with the impact on customers. There was extensive discussion. All the Zoom meetings were held twice at every meeting. At the beginning of the meeting, we checked to see if there was any customer comment received via email, and before the adjournment of the meeting, we checked to see if there was any email comment from anyone. We went through 15 months of Zoom meetings, did not receive one email comment. I heard the comment about we didn't advertise it, communicate it well enough. I tend to agree with that. think we probably could have done a better job of that. However, it was open to the public in the manner that was available to us. So I resent any comment that this was done surreptitiously or any other negative word. I think we're learning that we need to communicate better. We've already brought up here in this meeting, as we have in the past several, that we have a customer cost basis of over $30 just to have an account. We have more and more customers using solar. Who knows what else will come along. Our business model is being affected by that. We do have and are concerned with both the business health and the impact on customers. And to me, that has been evident in our discussions. It's why we've been talking about it ever since the charge, that we're looking ahead to December. I've asked Dave and the group to take a look at what's out there in terms of impact on customers putting in solar. We want them to do that. We want them to use less electricity. We want them to use renewable energy. But we also have to protect the health of the business. So we're doing a balancing act, as is our charge, as we all understand, and at times we have to make difficult decisions. We do that to the best of our ability. We listen to feedback. I was sincere when I said, Mark, we missed you. You helped keep us grounded, not always in the smoothest way, but you asked difficult questions, and that is a valuable service to the board, to the community, and I thank you for it. Having now finished my soliloquy, is there any further comments from anyone in the room? Mark?
Do you want to speak?
No, I'm all set, thanks.
Let me just. Thank you very much for the comments, Bill. I appreciate it. However, I'm here from the resident standpoint of view. You are on the other side of the table, on the company side view. So we're in you're right, this is a balance. The thing is that our customers were surprised and affected by this $7.50 monthly charge. I don't know what the $32 per customer charge that you're talking about, because I haven't been privileged to review the report, but the $32 charge that's buried in the budget that we prepare and submit to the DPU and to the town. So the thing is that we're both in agreement that this is a charge that may be necessary, but that's from the standpoint of the company, but may not be necessary from the standpoint of residents. Residents are 10,000 residents in this town, and every one of them pays that bill. Now, that bill is liable to go up. I mean, don't kid ourselves. I mean, we're talking about future charges. The thing is that this time it was relieved by the PPFA charge that was reduced. But next year, you're not going to have that. So the thing is that I'm looking at, and you know my position, is that we have $25 or $23 million sitting in cash. And now what we're asking our customers to do is reap another $7.50 per customer into the receipts that we're generating. This company is not necessarily for profit. This is a municipal company. This is operated for the use and benefit of the residents. So that's my whole point behind this. And I appreciate the hard decisions that you may have to make, but these decisions have to reflect both the company and the residents. And right now, I don't see any reflection on the residents, except for being and I hate to use the term, a cash cow. So, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your comments, Mark. Did you have a comment?
Yeah. I was put on the board in January, Mark, and when I came on board, I saw the recommendation of $29, I believe it was, or was it $32 that was recommended. And the board went down to $7.50, despite the recommendation that we bring it up to $32. So I think we did diligence to make sure the residents of Danvers weren't surprised with a significant increase. We also brought the rate down to 18%. I think looking at the industry, looking at the normal of the industry, why there wasn't a connection charge, a service charge before January of this year was quite surprising to me, being new on the board. Being in the industry, service charge, connection charge is a standard practice. That being said, when I was put on the board, I was also put onto the website with my name, my cell phone number, my email address. Not one person reached out to me with a question or a concern to this day. So, being a Danvers resident for a number of years, it's a concern of mine too, to make sure that we have competitive rates. Looking at the last page, Danvers is by far one of the lowest electric costs for cities and towns. I think with the industry going into renewable energies, debt connection charge may increase because of what we're seeing out in the marketplace. But that's where I think we need to do diligence, looking at the rate every, as we are gonna be in September. But if somebody has a concern, again, wasn't reiterated or questioned to me by any of the selectmen, or any resident either, so. That's what I would like to comment back, I guess.
Okay, well done. Mike, did you have a comment?
No, I mean, obviously, we're all three of us are ratepayers, and, we have these discussions, we go back and forth between ratepayers and customers and citizens and residents, and at the end of the day, in the wisdom of the town fathers, and they were all fathers back when they did this 115 years ago, we entered the municipal light business. Not every community did that. It has been, as was a long time being in the municipal hospital business, a very good thing for us as a community. It continues to be a very good thing for us within the community. I do believe that the management team that we have, supported by us as the Electric Light Board, pay a very close attention to try to walk that line between operating a business, which it is, a very different operation. I have this discussion with people on the finance committee all the time. You can't look at it, they look at, and these are people who spend their life looking through budgets. They look at the municipal budget, they understand it. They look at the electric light budget, their eyes gloss over, and they go back in their head. That's because we are not a business. The town of Danvers is not a business. The municipal light division is a business. Now, it's a different kind of business because we are not a for-profit business, but it is still a business, and we need to operate it as a business as such. And sometimes that does require looking at customers maybe differently than we look at residents in regards to that. That's how businesses operate. But as long as on that last page, as Steve said, we remain competitive in regards to our rates in comparison to the vast majority of other alternatives that people would have, number one, and I think we do that. And then number two, we provide the level of service that we provide to our customers which I will tell you, as we all know in this room, is second to none. I am able to look anyone in the face, and I have to do this occasionally, even with family members, and say to them, we do a pretty good job, and trust me, you don't wanna have National Grid in here, you don't wanna have them running it, which is the option. Doesn't mean we do it perfect, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't look at things more aggressively, and we shouldn't, and that we should just simply, hey, we're better than National Grid, so you're lucky. That's not the attitude, but I don't think we do that. But again, I think that it's important to remember that it's a business that's run for the benefit of the citizens of Danvers, and I think we do a good job by that.
Thank you, Mike. I'd just like to add one thing. Mark, sometimes your comments vary with their accuracy. When the charge was put in, it was brought to the attention of the selectmen. The selectmen asked us to take another look at it, and we did. And as a board, we felt comfortable with the decision. So not only was the charge implemented in February, it was reviewed, I believe, in April at the request of the select board. And we had another discussion about it that was quite extensive to my recollection.
I appreciate it.
And
Thank you very much. Have a great
the
day.
board unanimously felt, yes, this was the right thing to do. It is a business, it needs to run as a healthy business to serve the town, and as David pointed out, there is a cost associated with every customer's connection, and with the advent of solar, we have customers who use little to no electricity several months of the year, and yet, on a cloudy day, we've got to provide them electricity. There are costs associated with that. We pay capacity costs in addition to fuel costs. So our fixed costs continue, and they need to be recovered. Cost recovery needs to be a part of the business model for this business, for the health of the business, and to serve the customers of the town. And I absolutely agree, we are second to none. I have been amazed in my time in Danvers at how little the power goes out. You see it all the time on the news. People all around us have extensive power outages, and we do get all the outage reports. Very impressive, our service level. Mark, do you have a final quick comment, because we are running out of time for this meeting?
Final quick comment. Yes, I do. I always have one.
I know. Please make it quick.
The reason I rise now is because of the comments that I've heard from Steve and from Mike and yourself. This company has been in existence for 20 years?
Probably close to it.
120 years, and it's been run very well.
I think
And
it's
it's-
more like it was 1885,
89,
86, 89?
Yeah,
132.
it's about as old as Stoner Webster.
Yeah. All right, please continue with your
So,
comments and wrap up.
the comment is that it's run well for 120 years. Now, all of a sudden, we decide that we want to impose a fee where in the past, everything was included in the rate or the adjustment in the fuel adjustment cost.
Okay.
So the point is, why are we doing this now?
Well,
Okay.
but
Thank you.
But I
Thank
would
you.
say
That's it.
probably,
That's
probably, probably 50 years ago, we had a rate,
Yeah.
and then we had to switch it into two. Things change.
Yeah.
That's
I
one of
was
the
just-
things about.
I was gonna comment, the world is changing, Mark. It's changing rather dramatically in the electric industry.
We've seen
Since
that.
deregulation in the 90s, so, okay. At this point, unless anybody has a must-have comment, I would like to end the discussion on this and move on to the next agenda item. Engineering report. Jason, you're up.
Good morning. I'm just gonna,
Again, we need to make it quick because we're gonna lose Mike and then we're gonna lose quorum.
I will be as brief as possible.
Thank you.
Just gonna give an update on several ongoing projects that you've heard through probably up the months, but first up is the Northland substation, the brand new one that we're trying to build to replace an old one over by the mall. We're still working on the easement and restoration agreement with the property owner. Hopefully we'll hear something back very soon on that. They've been reviewing the legal language for a while now, so, and we've been reaching out to them, and they've been get back to us, so. Still going on, but hopefully that'll wrap up soon. We did, do some conceptual engineering on laying out, the site, and we would like to see the equipment, and that is, 90% complete. It's pretty much complete, but we have a little room there to make tweaks and adjustments and finalize some stuff. And, while we're waiting on the property rights, we're working on the engineering bid package to do like final design and engineering. So we'll have that, hopefully have that ready when we get the property rights and we can go right up to bid. Keep that on track. The Station 40 control house, where we're relocating and rebuilding the old walls where it's old and out of room and out of date a little bit.
Kind of out of date.
That has to go through the designer selection process with the state bid, and we're working on a couple bids, one for the OPM, which is the owner's project manager, and one for the actual design of the building. So that's in progress. Water Street I've talked to over the few months. We've been cutting over off the old conductor onto the new conductor. We're about 75% complete. And hopefully that'll be done by the end of the summer. It's just what's left is outages, and a lot of times they're off hours, and we're scheduling when we can around holidays and weekends and customers. So it's progressing, it's getting there, it'll be done soon. The S1 extension, which we talked about last month, which is extending a 4 kV circuit to help retire an old substation over by the middle school. The design is still in progress. We're hoping to kind of be done wrapping that up here in the next few weeks, and then we'll just be waiting on Verizon to set some poles and I haven't talked about this, but we have several asset programs that we've initiated or have been having, but we've put some primary focus onto it while we're waiting for some of these other projects to get construction ready. We have a 23 kV post and cutout replacement program. We surveyed all the 23 kV circuits early in the year and found 24 locations that needed to be replaced. We've completed 17 of those. Our replacement program actually put a goal of finishing them by the end of calendar year 22, but it looks like we might have them done by the end of this year. The 7 remaining locations require for this. So as you can see, it's getting busy with all the outages, so it's just start stacking up, right? So, but we're working on it and rewarding whatever we can. We had some load break switches, which are switches out in the field that allow us to switch load around or drop, isolate load if we have to. They can break load if we need to. We don't really like to do that, but they are there for that. We had 8 locations that needed either adjustment or repair. 4 of those are completely replaced or adjusted. We have 3 that are in progress that should be complete by the end of next week. And then the last location is, we're gonna try to adjust it before we determine if we need to replace it, and we might be able to do it this week. So those are pretty much, now increase the reliability and operability of the system.
Thank you.
And we have a switchgear replacement program, which is in the budget. There's 24 that we've targeted for replacement over the next 5 to 6 years. We budgeted for 3 this year, 2 are complete. And we might even end up doing 4. We have 2 more identified for like the fall timeframe. We might be able to get a little ahead on that one. And then we have private area lighting LED replacement. So you might remember a couple years ago, we got the grant to replace all the street light overheads. We're now replacing all the private area flood lighting from 2 LEDs. There were 484 that need to be done by the end of, at the start of the year of the budget to get done by the end of calendar year 22. We scheduled half of that for this year, 242, and right now we have 126 that are complete. So we're on track for that as well.
So on the private area lighting, if those are the ones in parking lots that people hire from us, or some of them are on poles. If you guys hear of anyone that's concerned with the light, have them give us a call. Okay, it's a different kind of light when they put those up. I've had some calls. We have staff that can go out and work with those lights, whether we need to, adjust the temperature of the bulb, to adjust where it's aiming. So we do the best we can when we put it up, but then sometimes we don't think about a house that all of a sudden this light goes into someone's house and we need to turn it a little bit. But, Mr. Chairman,
If I may, just a brief comment. So those lights, those new LED floods are very, very bright.
Yeah.
They seem to be up too high, so they need to be, is there someone to contact? Because I've gotten a couple of comments about those. Is there some person that's?
yeah, just call Danvers Electric, the main line.
Yeah.
They put in a work order, and then Jason usually has our night line worker go out at night. He'll have him go out and check it, and he'll get a report on it, and then we'll look at options, what's the best way to fix it.
Okay, great, thank you.
Can we do that remotely? The adjustments?
Yeah. No, we're talking like turn
Yeah,
it,
it's
lower it on
it's
the
a
pole,
bracket
that kind of thing. It's a bracket.
And,
Even the temperature, we can't, right now, our private area lights, we can't change the temperature remotely. We have it set up to go there and change the temperature remotely. Do they adjust, Jason, the ones we have?
You know, the floods, the temperatures, I don't think it is adjustable.
Yeah, the driver's set on those.
Yeah.
The
We-
driver's
we
set
can-
on
Yeah,
it?
we can tweak the Cobra heads though.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else, Jason?
That's it.
That's it.
Any questions for Jason?
Nope.
Thank you, Jason, good
Great job.
report. Next is a discussion on the NEPA Annual Conference, August 22nd to the 25th. David?
So, yeah, this is kind of like a, let's hope this happens, but so this is the annual New England conference that they have for power supply. A few years ago, we asked the town manager, put it in the budget, could we fund a staff person and a board member to go to this conference? That got approved, the money for that is in the budget. Last year, this conference, we found it to be very valuable to have one of the board members go and deal with other board members, other municipal lights companies there. We really learned a lot, and it puts us in the forefront. So various board members have gone. We believe, this one, right now it's planned to happen. So I haven't gotten the official word yet from the town manager that we're going to conferences this year. I believe he's gonna allow it, but he's just, I've reached out to him, but he's been busy with a number of other issues. But one thing we do is we have the board decide, if this gets approved that we can go, who among the board would go. We can rotate it, change it, it's a 100% board decision on which one of you guys would wanna go. So I wanted to put it on the agenda today, just so that we could get it, if, was there someone that was available and wanted to have an interest, and you guys could agree on someone that would go to this if it gets approved.
Okay, thank you, David. So I'd like to open the discussion with that by declaring I'm out. I recently had a
Oh,
prostate cancer diagnosis, and I'm dealing with that.
Oh.
Not life-threatening, not short-term, but going through the process. So I had thought I'd like to go, since I'm back on my first year of the term again, and I'd be around a while. I did go 3 years ago. I think Stan went a couple times, and we both found it very enlightening. You do get to meet and talk with other folks and see what other municipal utilities are dealing with and what they're doing, and a lot of ideas they have. So I strongly recommend it. So I'll throw it open to Mike or Steve, or either of you guys available and interested in going?
Steve, do you wanna go?
I'm actually, gonna be going, per work,
Or work to it?
so yeah, if you'd like to go.
We're gonna be in, Outer Banks in North Carolina, so I'm not around, so.
I'd like to go to
I'll
Outer
go.
Banks.
yeah.
so-
I could have predicted that one.
I'll go.
If that means I have to come back to go, I will.
So you're out too?
I'm out too, yeah, but maybe.
Michael's gonna
but
come
if Steve's
back
gonna
and-
be there,
Yeah.
at least
that-
we've
that
got,
will-
yeah.
Why don't you list me as a backup, and
Okay.
I'll see if, where things are, as we get closer and we have to commit.
If Bill's unable to go, is it possible that we could have two, staffers?
But yeah, I would definitely, I'll discuss that with Steve
Yeah.
and see. Clint and I have discussed, at some point, we wanna get Clint to this, definitely.
Yeah.
Actually, Jason gets to go to this in his other role as being a
Yeah.
commissioner in a different
Yeah,
utility.
I bet you
Yeah.
there.
So I
When
think you're
went-
going this year, Jason?
Yes, I am.
So Jason's going. And so we've talked with Clint about, obviously I believe it's gonna be important for Clint to go to this at some time, and I would pick it up with Steve.
This might be the year. I think
Yeah.
that's an excellent suggestion.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's not that far away either. It's not like you
Yeah.
drive to Vermont
No,
or
that's nice.
Lake Placid or something.
Yeah, okay. All right, so we have a plan. Maybe
Okay.
Clint first and then me as a backup.
Sure.
If
Good.
if it doesn't get approved first, second.
And if there's sessions that are very important to that, we will drag him away, Mr. Horn, away from the
Yeah,
expo.
selling
his
whatever
cus-
he's
Get him
selling,
away from his
yeah.
customers to go.
Yeah, okay, good.
All
Thank
right,
you.
I need to go.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
All
Thank
right.
you, Michael.
I think we've got all the votes that you need out of me anyways, so.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right, good.
Thank
Yeah,
you, Michael. We're down to close. Did you have any closing comments you want to make?
I will tell you that we went from a 100 amp to a 200 amp system, and so I'm doing my part to use as much power as possible.
Attaboy.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
See you
By
guys.
example, Mike, thank you.
Okay, utility board director, update to the board.
So the only thing we didn't get out of him is the September date, but Steph and I will work on that. Okay, so the biggest goal, we have a lot of staff recruitment going on. because of a number of reasons. We had some retirements, some positions that were frozen during the COVID thing, and some promotions. Now we have a whole bunch of recruitments that are full speed, and Clint's time, Jason's time, a lot of time is being spent on recruitment right now. And you guys out in the business know, Mark, it's not right out there, trying to get people from the higher levels all the way down to the bottom levels. The recruitment gets us our meter replacement program, which was, we were geared up right before COVID to get that going. We had our temporary people in. Right now, we are having a lot of difficulty getting the temporary people in to help us get the meter program going. So right now, we're doing meter replacements as we have issues with them. Like, you know, we have a few every week. We're doing those, but we need to get some staff on board and get them trained before we can get the meter replacement program going. We wish we didn't have to, but and we're just pulling out all the stops on trying to find that, but that's where we are.
Is it possible a third party that?
Oh yeah, we're looking at all the options. We're trying to avoid the third party costs
Yeah.
because they work so closely with Angelica's staff and Jason's staff that it's better to get some temp people and integrate it. And so we want to make it one more try at that. And we had some temp people here and they didn't work out, and so if we have to go back to a third party, we'll go there.
That may be.
Yeah, we'll figure that. Yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out because we know we have all the meters here. We want to get them in. So, and the OMS system wants all those meters in. So we're gonna plug away. One of the biggest things that shows up on our project management dashboard is the contribution and aid of construction. That is not flashy to the board, but it's very important also to staff. That's the getting the standard set for the rates that we charge private contractors when we do contract work, which we do all year long. So it's time to modernize that. A lot of work is going on that, on the staff, and working with Angelica's had some experience, so she's become already a valuable resource in getting that going, and it's at the top of our list right now. Landfill solar is in DEP world. I wish it would get out of there, but it's not. So we're battling with DEP, but we're at their schedule. Smith School, staff has made a lot of progress on getting the RFP ready for Smith School. Smith School, the building was substantially complete this month, just last week. So our building's substantially complete. Obviously the site and the demo now has to happen this summer, but we're actually moving into the new building, not today, but tomorrow and the rest of the week.
Wow.
So it's happening. Everything on their research looks like we could end up, we purchase and install the panels, we own them. We'll give you guys a financial report on that. But we told the board we were looking at both models. Do we lease to own? Do we lease them? Which way do we go? It's looking like we will buy these panels, put them on there, and then we'll actually have a power agreement with the town. Whether that goes through our other payments to the town, somehow we'll work out an agreement there. But it will be a big enough system, it'll go directly to the Danvers grid. It won't go through the school.
David?
Yep.
Will the town or electric company get the tax benefits that are associated with solar power now?
That'll all come with, well, when we buy them, the company we buy them from may get the tax credit, it'll lower the cost of what we pay for them.
Okay, because that's something that was gonna be included with the school budget at one time.
Yeah, it got cut early.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Well, the thing is that we don't want to avoid losing the credits.
Oh, no, when we look at all
Okay.
three models,
All
we're
right.
trying to maximize those
All right,
credits.
just a warning.
Absolutely, no, good point. Yeah, because we don't pay, well, we do actually pay some taxes. but-
Absolutely
We do
you
pay taxes,
It's
yeah.
over $1 million.
Yeah, but well, and we pay some state tax, but it's not enough to cover that. So we need to get those credits,
Okay.
make sure they apply. So Smith School, we'll plug ahead with that. That's good. Meter replacement on the DPW facility. We've had 2 reports from our consultant on the DPW facilities as far as our needs assessment and what we need and what's the maximum or what's the wanna have, what's the minimum, like we do on most projects. So I have a meeting on June 30th with the town manager. So I got some time with him to strategize on how we're gonna move forward as far as evaluating options, evaluating sites, and because if we look all in, all done, it's a big project. and maybe we can't do a project that big, what are our options? So I need to do some strategizing with the town manager, and then, we'll get a report out on, what the committee's gonna happen. And that's it. And financial software is our other one, it's right there, we wanna proceed on it, however, we need to go slowly right now until we get Angelica and get her office fully staffed up, so that they can push on this side of the street. And that's what I'll have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
What software?
Oh,
We use a financial software for these reports to
Yeah.
track our expenses and everything like that, so we're looking at combining it with a work order software.
It's archaic software.
It's from like 92 or so, it's
Yeah,
DOS.
and if you recall, when you first came on board,
Yeah, the
all
minuses.
the minus numbers are positive and all the positive numbers
I
are
love the
negative.
minuses, yeah.
Yeah, so
It took me
it's.
3 months
and-
to figure that out.
And Jason and his predecessor, Mark McCarrini, have to track projects by hand because they can't get them out of the financial
Yeah.
system. So we really need.
Yeah, it's gonna tie into, work order systems, so.
and the warehouse. So
And
inventory will tie right in.
That will help with our audit, which we're also, we're almost complete with our 2020 audit, and things are going on. Forgot to mention that.
All right, did you have any other
I
questions?
have no more questions.
Okay, David, I gotta, as always, I have a few.
Sure.
Still trying to fill Stan's shoes.
Absolutely.
TPU investigation, anything?
No word from them.
No word.
Nope.
Okay. Customer charge effects. Remember I suggested last meeting we take a look at, what would be the effect of if we increase the customer charge on customers doing solar projects and that kind of thing, to get ready for, a discussion later in the year.
Yeah, and we did meet with Jeff Ellie on that, so we don't have anything to report, but we have that on our,
Okay.
on our to-do
All right,
list.
so you can work.
And some work has been done already.
Okay. Efficiency rebate budget. Oh, I asked last time, when Jeff reported on that, and I asked a question about corded electric tools. They were excluded. And I guess I didn't understand why I asked Jeff to take a look at that. We have a rebate for battery-operated tools, but not for electric corded tools. And I didn't understand why we did that, other than the comment that they're going away, but what do we care? As long as they're using electricity instead of gasoline, that's.
Well, the idea was we were getting people to switch from gasoline to electric things.
Yeah.
And we want them to do that.
Right. And a cord is electric.
But they're already using the electricity. See, if he gets rid of his gas mower and starts using an electric mower,
Yeah.
that's what we want to encourage.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you mean. If he bought a corded lawnmower. Oh, because,
Corded
oh.
versus battery.
And Jeff, when I talked to Jeff said, because all that's going away. They're all going.
All right, I guess I'll accept that.
That's what. No, I accepted it
I
from
give
Jeff.
up.
No,
I give up.
right.
Okay.
Jeff's like, Dave, it's like we don't want to waste our time with that.
All right, okay.
He's pretty right most of the time.
Okay, two quick questions. We're seeing a lot about ransomware attacks and infrastructure attacks. Just kind of, is that a big thing for us? Is that more done for us by E&E and ISO and those folks?
So, we're covered by ISO as far as web requirements and internet requirements. And our town's IT director, Colby Cousins, he's done a great job working with us. He came here not knowing all that. And our staff has helped educate him on, don't just think about what the town requirements are. We need you to think about DPU requirements, because we have a whole different set of requirements that we have to follow under for protection. And they've made many changes to the servers. It's a lot of those, it's happening. So,
Okay.
our IT department is aware of the DPU requirements, and it appears to me that we're right up on right with them. Would you two agree on that, Jason? Then that's cool.
So do you think?
And-
I'm sorry.
And I know that my, log on now, we're changing to at my level, to the 3-level authorization where they have to send me a text. That's changing for me. We're like a pilot test, and it'll slowly work down through the system. So,
All
we're
right,
constantly
so that's
changing that, and
something
we're,
paying attention to and we're.
oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Colby,
Good.
we scared him. He needs to really pay
Is that
attention to
something we
it.
can dive into as a report for September?
Oh,
Just-
on internet protection?
Yeah,
Oh, I can
think
have
it's-
Colby here.
I think it might be something, Bill, that
Yeah.
we should, be ahead of,
Okay.
Depending on what you talk about, it might have to be executive session.
Yeah, I'll have to talk to Colby about that, yeah. What could he, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, just,
It just depends, like high level, you could probably do it here, if it's more in depth, it's better.
Superficial, you can get it, but details you can't.
And super, might be okay for the, just to hear from Colby that, yep, we're upgrading these, upgrading
Right.
servers, yeah, so, I mean, with Colby, we'll have to like, give him a timeline, you know, he can only speak for so long.
Right.
And, he's passionate about it, as he should be, which is great.
good. Okay, one last, and this one's kind of a nit, but, I remember a long time ago, we had a discussion, about the poles in town.
Yep.
About half are owned by us, and I think the other half by National Grid. And at one,
Yeah, that's right.
Verizon.
Verizon, oh, okay. At one point, we had a brief discussion about, should we look at buying the poles? Because there isn't a lot of, there's a lot of revenue associated with those, because you see like 6 different sets of wires on them, and only one is ours. Is that anything we're actively looking at?
So when it was brought up, we did 2 things. We went around to find someone that had done it recently, and we were surprised we couldn't find another, we thought we were gonna be able to find someone that did it recently. We
Yeah.
couldn't, when we looked,
Okay.
to find out, what the model was and how it did. And we ran a few numbers on what Verizon would charge us to buy the poles. And then we'd have to replicate the taxes that they used to pay the town for those poles. And those numbers, with a first glance, didn't look great.
Okay,
It wasn't like, we wanna jump on this right away.
okay.
And so we did it, at that time, we reported back to the board that, things don't look great for this,
Yeah.
and let's keep it on the list, something to talk about at some point.
Okay.
And so we've put it on the back burner since then.
The other thing I would say
Jason.
with that, it's difficult in the village of Vernon because all the poles are different age, different
Right.
asset condition, so it becomes challenging. And then I think there might have been some appetite from Verizon at one point, a few years ago, but since the advent of 5G and you need to be on like a bunch of poles with 5G, I think they might have reconsidered
They're
their
getting
business
paid.
decision.
Okay, so they're making more, and they don't.
Yeah, they need it for they're also in the wireless business,
Right,
right? So,
sure.
just for their own, probably their own business, they're gonna probably wanna keep those poles
Or charge us more.
Or charge more to make it not, the
Yeah.
cost for them to buy them.
Sure. Okay, all right, thanks. Double poles, we've talked about double poles occasionally. Do we keep an eye on that?
So-
Do we have some kind of,
So we have a database of the double poles, and staff, they know to prepare, we're gonna do a report in the fall.
okay,
So in the late fall, usually we do a report to the selectmen and to this board.
okay.
We're, actually currently refreshing that data and trying to come up with some metrics to, cause usually you just see the number of poles and who's to go next, and you see how many Danvers Electric has, and it's kinda like a snapshot in time, it's like, and sometimes you see that number increasing, and it doesn't make much sense.
Yeah.
But, so it's always a moving target, cause we may set 20 poles, and then we may transfer 15, so maybe it's only like a net 5, or maybe we transfer
Sure.
like a bunch, and then we set, right, so the number doesn't always, so we're working on coming up with a metric that shows, how many do we have that we have to transfer, and
Yeah.
then, which is always the number you're gonna see, and then, some sort of number of how many, since, like, the beginning of the year, how many we've set versus how many we've transferred, so
Yeah.
hopefully you can see that we are moving on. It's
Okay,
always
good.
it's a
Yeah,
moving
that's a
target.
moving target, sure. Yeah, there was one near my house, and it was kind of interesting, because I was walking regularly. And I'd noticed, I'd walk one week, the next week, it might be a
Get
foot
shorter.
shorter, because one set of wires got transferred, then a couple weeks later, it'd be a little bit shorter again. And I actually walked one day, and there was I forget the company, was transferring wires, and so I stopped and watched the guy for a little while, transferring the wires from the short pole to the newer pole, so it was kind of interesting, that's what made me think of that. Okay,
I'd like to ask, do we have all those GPS and
And they're all in our GIS.
GIS?
okay. Matt, did you want to make any final comments?
No, I'm good,
No?
thank you very much for your
Larry?
question.
I knew it.
Opportunity.
You got 60 seconds, sorry.
Yeah.
We gotta leave him a minute.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd like to add to my former comments is that I appreciate your entertaining my comments, because I try to speak for the residents and for the citizens of Danvers. And I know that we haven't had many show up to these meetings except when they run into a problem with rates or bills. But I want to thank you for finally getting this meeting open to the public, just like we used to have. And open meeting violations have happened all over the last 15 months. But I think, you know, we're back to square one again, so bear with me.
Okay.
Have patience.
Well, we will do that, Mark, and please, as I've said on occasion, you know, be brief, be accurate.
I'm always brief.
We must agree to disagree. Please be accurate, sometimes you get a little wrapped up and,
No, I,
so. Okay, we probably agree to disagree again.
all right.
Next meeting,
So I guess we're on board with, unless an emergency comes up, we'll plan on a September meeting.
yep,
The, so Stephanie, the conference is, I thought it was like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
It is.
Okay, so it
It's
says,
for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
yeah, but you have the 22nd. Oh,
That's
it's
4 days.
August. Oh, I'm in the wrong, okay, good. Oh, so September 21st could work. Either the 14th or the 21st, guys.
At this point, either one would work.
14th, okay, let's do the 14th for now.
Yeah, actually, that's probably better for me as well.
Okay.
Okay,
Steph, if you could send that out to Michael.
Sure.
Get that marked, September 14th.
Could we please have copies of the distribution that the public?
Oh yeah, we'll have packets here for you, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep. I looked to make sure I didn't have those. Sometimes I have and I'm supposed to do it. But I
No,
didn't-
you guys neglected me, that's.
All right.
he's so neglected. Okay, any final discussion from anyone, except Mark?
Shut off.
I had just one suggestion, in reading through the minutes, and it's one of my old saws, is TLAs, three-letter acronyms. I think for purposes of anybody reviewing our minutes, we should minimize use or eliminate use of acronyms as much as possible. And I noticed in the last minutes, there was a candidate, or we offered the HSE job to
Okay.
an internal candidate. And I know what it means, but, you know, if the selectmen are reviewing it, or any of the public, they probably aren't gonna know what
We'll
that
keep an eye out
means.
for those. Good point.
So, you
Public
know,
record.
yeah, it's a
That's what it
public
is.
record,
Yep.
and, you know, after a very painful process, I know most of the acronyms. I'm still in favor of having a FUI book for us, or a FUI list, which are frequently used initials or acronyms. But if we can keep them out of the minutes, I think that would be good. Okay?
That'd be great.
All right, hearing no further discussion, do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Well, I made motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. I will second, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned.